Good morning. My name is Katinka. I'm the seamstress at the cottage. It is Saturday, but I'm going to do Friday sews because I was too busy yesterday. Beverage, coffee, black, no sugar. Today's door achtbart. It's one of my favorite instant ones. I am going to chat about my things that I've been busy with this week and also give you a January roundup of the things that I've finished. If that is something that you would be interested in, then stick around. Let's start with what I've been busy with. I am working on my sock stole. This is the one I finished. I showed it last time. And I am actually making progress on the second one. There's 2 more pattern repeats for the leg and the ribbing, and then I'm done with the second one. I've now gone to the bigger needles. When I knit socks, I like to use the thinner needles for around my ankle, and then I just go thicker needles as I go up, because your leg do get bigger as it goes up. So the process is still going. It's still a slow process, but I actually am seeing the end of the tunnel, which is more than I can say when I started. I'm very proud of myself for persevering with those socks. The next thing that I've been busy with is this. I didn't get a lot of knitting done lately because it's just been too hot. But some evenings, just to recalibrate after a busy day, I would sit and knit a few rows. And it really just calms my mind. So this was the Adis pattern. It's a raglan pattern with no ribbing. It's just everything gets knitted all in one. Beautiful pattern. I knitted it longer than the pattern. I think this much longer. But this yarn is extremely heavy. This is about 1.5 kilos, so that's almost 3 pounds of yarn, and it fell off my shoulders and it was pulling, and I never grabbed it, even though I love the yarn and I love the color because of that. So what I did is I unpicked this much, and the sleeves you knit them separate and then you add them in when you start with the top part. So the sleeves was long enough, so I kept the sleeves, and then I gave the sleeve a saddle shoulder. That's when you have a setting piece in the front, at the top. So the sleeves are like that, and it gets set into the cardigan like this. Now, this is not big enough for my sleeve allowance, so I am going to steek it down here. Steeking is when you knit everything together and then afterwards you cut it. Now, when you steek, there's usually like certain stitches that you have to do and a process which I didn't do, and then that keeps it in place if it's real wool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zigzag. Zigzag is awesome. It keeps it in place. And then I'll just sew the sleeve in. I hope I will never have to unpick this again, because I don't think you will be able to actually do that. At the moment, I am busy with the ribbing right around. And I want the ribbing really wide and then fold it over. And also around the neck, I'm busy doing short rows, German short rows. So the German short row is where you kind of like you have all your stitches, but in the middle you knit there and then knit back and then you knit back. But there's a process of doing it so that you actually add fabric where you need it. So it gets longer in one place than in another place. So I'm busy with that process on this jersey. I am looking forward to finishing it because I can see myself wearing it much more this way. Next up, I finished some orders. My one friend fell about 4 weeks ago, and she, oh my goodness, that was hectic. She broke her nose, all the cartridge in her nose, and it split open. You could see the inside of her nose, so you had to have plastic surgery and everything. And she broke her elbow. Now, I don't know if I've never thought about that. But if you only have one arm that you can use, and you're used to using 2 arms, do you know how difficult it is to get your pants up? So, she has been living in dresses. Luckily, it's summer and it's very hot, and dresses are much cooler than pants. So she doesn't mind, but she doesn't have enough dresses. So I made her a dress out of this fabric. I'll put in a photo. So I made her a dress in this fabric. I used to have a little shop, and for one of my seasons, I think it was my winter 2017, I actually made dresses in this. And it was like a dress with a knot here, and then it just hang down, and I used a little buckle in the end for her dress. And then it was a dress that was already cut out, the pattern, the pieces. So I just used that, and I cut the back and the sleeves afterwards, and I gave it a frill because it wasn't long enough. But now it's actually really nice and long with that frill. So I did that, and then this client, she is a saint. If I was a client of me, I would fire me. I am the worst some days. So she brought me this fabric. It's both is linen. There were 3 pieces. There was white, yellow, and red I made the white dress in December, and she's going to Cape Town. So I was trying to finish all of this, but we've been having such horrible times for load shedding. But that's not my main excuse. I don't have an excuse because I've been doing other projects. Hint, but we'll get to that now. So anyway, I finished this dress. I'll insert some footage of that. I finished this one. I'm going to deliver it now. It's just before 7. These people are going on a holiday and she went to pack it. And the reason it hasn't been done earlier was me. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I still have to do this one. But she's been so awesome. Oh, you know, when you sometimes have clients and you just adore them, she's one of those. She's really been awesome. I've messed up, but I'm taking responsibility, and I did profusely apologize for not finishing the yellow one. At least the red one is done. I did cut out the yellow one, and I'm going to do it today. So, the thing that I've been hinting at, these bands. There was this show called Trinity and Suzanne, and they would do like these makeovers for women, and I actually liked their chemistry, but they were really good. And Trinity was the tall, skinny one, really beautiful and classical, and Suzanne was more normal, but also beautiful. And I love that they had people with different types of figures because it made it so much more attainable for normal people like us. But anyway, so Trinity I found recently on YouTube, and I came across a video where she had these jeans, dark navy jeans, white leg, and she spoke about modern classic. I'll put a link in the description. And so me and my ADD brain went down this rabbit hole looking at her in her jeans. Now, I'm not built like her, but I was still envisioning myself with jeans like that because I've always had an obsession with wide-legged jeans since I was very little. And so I remembered I had this pattern. It's McCall's 2360. I'm not sure you can still get it. And it is like these really wide leg pants, and it's got just a straight band at the top, and it's unisex, and it's got little darts at the back. So I made these pants in the 90s for myself, late 90s, early 2000s. Loved it, wore it to pieces, literally. It was in almost that color, no, more like this color of the coaster, but it was more gold, like a denim. Oh, I love those pants. So I cut out the bigger size because the bigger size on this is 32 waist. And apparently my waist and my hips are not that, because it was this much too big. So then what I did is I realized that I want real jeans. So one of the ways I fixed it was to cut this part that it looks like jeans. But it was still too big. So I had to take out in the back and a lot on the side, and now it fits me beautifully. But another thing is the crotch on that pattern is so low, and I can't remember it being that low on my other pair of pants, but that was long ago. So I did find on the pattern itself, it was still pinned in place. You know when you have the lengthening and shortening line? It was pinned in place about this much shorter, and I made it half of that. So it was still quite long, the crotch. Then when I put it on, it was pulling in the front like this after I've made it smaller. You know when you have it on and it pulls those lines? So when you have those lines, it means often that you have on the back curve. So if the back curve runs like this, you have to go a little bit in. And then on the front, you can actually see here, this one was very straight, it was down and like that. So I had to curve it a little bit more. Now I'll do it on this side because I didn't cut off the excess yet. So there you can see it is curved. So instead of going like this and then up, it's more gradual. And it fits me beautifully now. What I also changed was that pattern has a straight waistband. I cut a curved waistband for this, but this is where we at. So that's the front. I had all the top stitching done, and then when I fitted it, and I had a longer zip, it was far too long in the front. The back I could have gone away with maybe, but the front was just, it was literally almost up to here. So I had to unpick that zip, put a shorter zip, and cut it lower. And now it works. And this is the reason. Sorry, my dear friend, for not finishing your dresses, because you sometimes watch these videos. But this is the reason I didn't finish those dresses, because I went down this rabbit hole. And then when I wanted to work on the dresses, there was no power. So it's my own fault. But I am working on this, going to finish them after I finish the yellow dress today, and then I will have some really stunning jeans. So what happened also is I looked at these jeans, and I've always wanted some, but they've always been outside of my price range. I just couldn't afford them. So before I started making it, I thought, let me go and see if I can't buy a pair. They are so expensive. I'm not going to pay for that for something that I can make, and I already had the fabric in my stash. It was actually given to me by a friend who had a whole roll of this, and she gave me some kindly over December. So I thought, no, I'm making it. So that's what I've been busy with. And I'm having a lot of fun to figure out the process. And my aim is it needs to fit me properly. Next up, let me show you my January roundup. The first thing I finished was this top. I started this beginning of 2018, and I think it was Bernadette Banner she started this process of working on a Victorian insertion lace top. And of course I got inspired, another rabbit hole. And she was doing it by hand, so I thought, oh well, I can do it by hand too, which I can. So I started, and I did it by hand. All the lace by hand. All the pin tacks by hand. It took me forever. This piece of lace was a doily. It was like round with little circles on the side, and a beautiful, I think it's like a cotton mesh. You know when they take the net and they embroider on it? It was like that, but it was very old. It was my granny's. So I used the ends to do the sleeves, and I used the big part to do the neck, and then I took the edge, I cut it off, and I shaped it on the, if you use steam and on cotton, you can actually shape things. So I shaped the neck, and I sewed everything by hand. I did the buttons, the buttonholes by hand, used some vintage buttons that a friend of mine got at a Victorian vintage market, but I don't think it's Victorian, I think it's a bit later. And then I never finished it because I had to do the sleeves. So the one thing I did do on the sewing machine was these pleats in the back. And I also just this part I did on the sewing machine, but the buttonholes I did by hand. So I never finished it because the sleeves had to be French seamed. Everything was French seamed, and I just couldn't get my head around doing it by hand. Now I have to unpick and redo a few times before I get the sleeve to fit properly because it was kind of my own pattern. So in the end, in December, I made the decision to actually just go in and finish it because done is better than perfect. And I love it. So I finished it in the beginning of January. I haven't had a chance to wear it because it's just been too hot, but I can see myself wearing this a lot. I just really, really love it. I mean, think how nice these two will look together. It's tucked in, this one tucked into the jeans. Oh, I can't wait. Next up, bathing suit. So I had this fabric. It was also one of those where people destashed, and I sometimes think I'm the garbage. I'm like the recycling center for people when they destash their fabrics. Don't mind usually, but it makes me end up with tons of fabric sometimes. So this was in that destashing bunch that came to me, and it was the stripes and the polka dots and the navy. Oh, hello, Bubbles. So the navy I used for the pants, and then I gave it the polka dot skirt, and I gave it a waistband in the navy. I might have to go in and add some elastic in the waistband, but I'll see. And I cut the back longer than the front. Look how nice it's rolling in the wind. It's so cute. And I didn't give it a hem because I don't want it to have too many places where it can hold water. Love these pants. They come up nice and high, about up to my navel, and they are so comfy. So with that, I made this top. We give it a lining, and then the front part is the navy, to pick up from the navy from the pants, and the straps I made in the polka dots, and I use elastic in the straps. So it's nice and sturdy, and I just binded it at the bottom with this. It looks so cute. I really love it. I haven't had a chance to take my final photos yet, because when I get somebody to come and help me, because this I need somebody to help me. I want to go and do it on the beach, polka dot bikini type of setup. When I get people, then it's cloudy. So even though it's been so hot, we've had so much cloudiness. It's been strange. So that's the next thing I finished. And then I showed you this dress. I think it's 3 Friday sews back. And I said that I made it, but it was too short. This is a beautiful Rami linen, but it's quite a thick one, that a friend gave me in the early 2000s. And I've kept it ever since because I just wanted the perfect project for it. But also something I spoke about is the Schrödinger box disease, where if the cat is in the box, as long as you don't open the box, the cat could still be alive. But if you open that box, you can know if the cat's alive or not. So it's that thing of, if the fabric is in your stash, it has so many possibilities. But as soon as you use it, those possibilities are gone. So I've decided this year, I'm going to heal myself from the Schrödinger disease. So I made this dress. And when I had it on, it was in such an awkward length. You know, there, I've got big calves. So if the dress ends there, I just look frumpy, like a granny. I'm not frumpy and I'm not a granny. I might not be a fashion icon, but I'm not frumpy. Although I am. That's coming from somebody who's wearing a adult baby grow. I made this because I wanted something comfy and easy to work in and to sleep in, and I actually wear it all the time. It's either in the wash or on me. So then I remembered when I was looking at this dress, because I was like going to sell it, I remembered I spoke in one of my other videos about this beautiful piece of lace that I had. And I took it out and I realized it's the same white, because I don't know if you've ever come across it, but often you get different color whites. And then you put something together and it just doesn't work because it's different color whites. So I put it together and it is so beautiful. It's long and flowy and classical, and I feel so pretty when I have it on. So I finished that. And then just one gripe. All of these, you know, you get your rivets that you put on your pockets. I bought these rivets from Ideal Fasteners, I think. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it's Ideal Fasteners. I don't know if you have it over where you are, but this is in South Africa. And you know, these stupid things, no matter what I do, I cannot get this, because with a rivet, this part needs to pop. And I can't get it to pop. I'll pick it up later. Look how many I've wasted. So in the end, I started using these. I know they are the male part of other types of fasteners, but they actually look really cute on the jeans. I'll show you when I do the jean video. So yeah, I have to confess, I did do a bit of swearing when I was working with that. Not a proud moment, but it's life. Okay, now today I want to chat about things we keep. My emotional support animal is sleeping over there, so I'll just hold the cushion today. Up until 2018, my other channel used to be part of another type of crafting community. Or not part of, but I mean, I used to post things from that type of handwork. And that community got really toxic. Not as much with me, but just in general. There was a lot of horrible things that was happening in cancel culture. And I'm sorry, I'm not here for cancel culture or any of those things. I'm here because I enjoy the craft. So I completely distanced myself from it, and I decided I'm not going to even post on that. And I started doing, showing how I fix up my house, which I love anyway. So there I had a video where I spoke about how I am stashing down and how I am looking at my wardrobe, because I have so much clothes and a lot of it I don't wear. So what was happening, and it was so interesting, I recently realized it, because I was almost falling back into that spiral. So since January, my life has been a bit hectic. And there has been a lot of stressful things that's been happening behind the scene. Nothing major, but enough to cause quite a lot of anxiety and stress. And so in my past life, I used to do not just wardrobe planning. I would go in with a client, help sort their wardrobes out, find what works for them, what doesn't work for them, change the things that's already in their wardrobe so it fits them properly, and then help them to find items to actually add so that the whole wardrobe goes cohesively together and they find their style and are able to wear everything in their wardrobe. And I did that for quite a few years, but one of the things that I used to have to do was to go and shop for people when I was still in a bigger city. And I remember going into all these different places, but like speed shopping, going from place to place, getting the basic items, taking it to the client, they choose, then take it back, and it was quite a thing. And I would end up buying a lot of stuff that wasn't really me, but it was in fashion at that stage or for whatever reason. Now, growing up, my family did not have a lot of disposable income, so we had what we needed. Nothing extra. Maybe so now and again you would get for your birthday a pair of nice shoes or whatever, but you had what you needed. And I always loved fashion and all of those things, so I used to dream of making stuff. And then my mom had a drawer of fabric, but it was fabric that she had plans for, so I could use the scraps, but I wasn't really allowed to use the fabric itself. So I would take these scraps and put them together to make something, and it always looked handmade. So that was where my obsession with fabric came from, where I just don't want to be in that position where I can't make what I really want to make because I don't have fabric. And I realized that, so that's part of the reason why I stopped buying fabric. But then with clothes, I had so much clothes, and a lot of those clothes were things I didn't wear, but I kept it just in case, and things that I didn't like the fabric or it didn't fit me properly. So in 2018, I went through my wardrobe, and I literally decluttered to a point where I only had a quarter left of what was there. 3 of my friends got new wardrobes. They were very happy, but it was such a relief, and I literally refused to buy anything from then till now. In that time, a friend actually got me some stuff, which I really love, but I haven't really shopped because I haven't needed anything. So this is now to where I am talking about what I'm sewing. What I've realized is, when I started in this community, I still love it. I love each and every one of you in this community because there's such a positivity here. And I started watching everybody making all these things, and it's wonderful if you're in a situation where you need it or you can do it, but I don't need anything. So I started making stuff because I see this one make it, and then I'm like, oh, I want to make that. And I'm one of those seamstresses or people who can actually sew a lot. I can make a lot of things in a day. So I can literally have 5 new things every week if I want to. And I've realized that then I'm just exchanging where I was with my wardrobe to now I don't buy it, I just make it. And I'm not going to do that. Now I said I just make this, but I actually really need jeans, and I've been looking at what I want, and I've literally been looking at a wide leg pair of jeans since last year, July, that I've been trying to find a pair, and I've now decided I'm just going to make it. This whole process is bringing me to a place where, for myself, for my value system, and for where my heart is, I want quality over quantity. And I'm not saying if you are sewing something for yourself and you're making new things every week, it's not quality. But for me, I would rather sit and handwork on a top for 3 years and have something that I love afterwards than to make 5 tops and only wear one of them. And that is something I'm really aware of this year, is what am I adding to my wardrobe? Do I need it? Do I like the fabric? Will it add value, make my wardrobe work better? And in the end, will I be able to wear it maybe for 5 or 6 years? So I have a formula. 80% of my wardrobe needs to be sustainable, in the sense of I need to be able to wear it for more than 2 years. And the other 20% can be things that's seasonal or things that's fashionable, because you do want sometimes just the latest shiny thing. And I've really been looking at my wardrobe and making sure I stick to that formula. Anyway, that's me for today. Oh, I wanted to ask you, how do you approach your wardrobe, and how do you approach what you wear and your style? How do you decide what's your style? I would really like to chat to you about that in the comments below. Just one more thing. Thank you so much for each of you who's been leaving comments on my last video. I was literally so blessed to see all those comments, because it really just made me realize what a special community this is. And it's made me want to continue, but also made me just appreciate the people that's come into my life through this channel. And I want to thank each and every one of you for coming along, for leaving messages, for chatting to me, and for just taking the whole thing of isolation when you're sewing, taking it away and making my sewing really fun again. Because when I started this channel, I was at the point of really hating sewing because it was just a job, and now Every time I make something, I have such joy to make it and to give tips on how to do things and to just go through the process of making it to the best of my ability. And I'm learning so much from watching your videos as well. And that's it. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Happy sewing. Goodbye.